Hello, we're on. So we're going to start with what we're going to start with. NHS election snoopers chart.
Should we start with the election?
All right, then the election. I want to first start with the electoral roll process that's now in place. Have you had that leaflet through your door? I'm the only one who's had one in my household, so I don't know why. But
in your door? What one?
hold on.
Well,
Let me just sorry, I was looping because it started on YouTube as well. I could hear us talking. I was like, well, how? I said that 5 minutes ago. I got this thing about how you now have to register for the electoral roll, and you've got to put your national insurance and your date of birth on it.
Right.
Have you had that yet?
No.
No.
Well, I refuse to sign it because it says I understand that supplying false information, and it kind of leads you to that in future if you don't fill it out you'll be charged 80 quid. So I thought I'm not going to sign it because they haven't put the legal definitions. So I don't understand what I'm signing. You know, they're asking to state that I understand, but without them explaining the legal definitions of the terms they're using, I do not understand. I think that's perfect, reasonable argument. And it also says if you don't have a national insurance number, and I'm like, I don't know it, don't know my date of birth, you know, so I'll probably get stuck on that as well.
It's
apparently,
well spent though, isn't it? You know, 80 quid to not have any part of this mockery. I'm game for that. I'll just.
It can go up a lot more.
PPI.
I mean, yeah. There's some people that have they've been refused to be on the voting register if they don't supply their national insurance number. Is that right?
I mean, it's becoming like America, isn't it? Where you've got one number that, I mean, you're a number in that system in the sense that you've got your whatever it's called. I can't remember what it's called. The
Social Security.
There we go. So you got your social security number, and to the state, you're not Mr. Whatever or Mrs. Whatever. You are number 1059.
Like a cow tag on our ears.
And we're almost going down that route where our national that thing is becoming the exact same. And of course it's not right, because why should you have to in a democracy disclose that? That's got nothing to do with your voting. You know, the fact that you're allowed to vote is nothing to do with it. It should be a right and a duty to vote, regardless of what you have, regardless of what other connections you have. You know, as a British citizen, you have the right and the duty to vote to pick the next government that will administer the society for the people and for and on behalf of the people.
Well, apparently this the electoral rolls lost thousands, and I think it's this new switchover, especially young people. And you have to question, with the rise of the likes of Green with young people, whether this is kind of accidentally on purpose, but apparently a lot of young people aren't registered to vote at the moment, and I know they've been going around schools and things trying to get people to vote. But if you don't want to give them your national insurance, you can take your passport, but I don't have a passport because they're too. Why do we have to pay for a passport when they're so expensive?
Because
it's a national ID.
Golden carriage.
But it's an ID, isn't it? They want us to have this ID, but we have to foot the bill for it. It's like you're taking the piss.
It's almost equivalent of you getting put in a prison, but having to pay for the bars to be put on your cell.
Yeah.
It's almost like adding, cutting you open and adding salt into the wound, just to rub it in there. And by the way, you've got to do it yourself. So you're inflicting your own pain. It's quite terrible. But
the Irish have been dragged into it as well, because one of the Tory MPs has put a motion forward to stop Irish in England voting in the election, which an Irish newspaper contacted Downing Street and they wouldn't comment on it, so they wouldn't rule it out.
Really?
Which, has upset a lot of Irish people. That they might not be able to vote, and if they're living in this.
Scots, Now the Irish. It's like, oh, who else is David? It's like, oh, come on, 45% of Scotland fucking hates your guts, and that's not including anyone in England and anyone in Ireland. Especially now you've pissed them off. Wales just feels completely left out, as though it's not even part of this. Nobody even talks about Wales anymore. Do you know what I mean? Just how is he even third in the general elections, like with the percentage? Because you think, God, people must really fucking hate him.
Yeah, but
They
if
really
you think
must
about
hate
it, he's
He's going
only
on
just
pissing off
above,
everybody.
he's only just above Clegg. And Clegg proved himself to be as fine as git.
I'd
No,
like
Well,
to
I mean,
make
if Clegg beats him, that I think takes special political prowess from Clegg, and anybody that is below Clegg, my God, you're less popular than a jellyfish at a seaside resort. But it's that the thing about what's it called, removing young people's ability to vote or manipulating the voting system or the way to register to make young people. I mean, it's not that far fetched. I don't know if you remember the I think it was the Mitt Romney Obama election where they tried this out before, and it was a great Al Jazeera journalist who broke the story about how they had recently implemented in all the southern states that you had to have photographic ID to be able to vote. Now they put that in a couple of months before the elections came. Now, bearing in mind that to have photographic ID, the only way you have photographic ID is if you own a car or if you drive, because the only way you can get photographic ID is to have a license. Most black people and ethnic minorities are poor in America, therefore they don't drive because they just can't afford a car. So therefore they all got their right to vote taken away. Now,
we
the
get quite a
Republican senator,
shocking result.
huh?
Sorry. No, go on.
No, I was just going to say that it takes roughly about 4 to 6 months
Yeah.
to get
Yeah,
one
they
of
do.
those photographic IDs, and they pushed forward the motion 2 months before the election, so nobody could have gotten one on time anyway, once they found out about it.
That's awful. That's awful, because when you think about it, these minorities, whatever you want to call us, because we are also one of these areas, activists. We're also one of those type of people where maybe this is what is in the books for this photo ID, because you look at Facebook, as soon as Facebook starts spouting out you need to photograph or scan your license, it's like you need to jog on. And that's the activist mentality, and it's exactly the same with voting. If they're going to be like, right, you need to prove this and you need to give this and give photographic, you're cutting out the part of society that wants these people taken down. Like, there's no doubt that most, I would say 99% of activists want the government removed from power. They want some form of new kind of, and I would say if they were told, look, if you put your vote in, Green are most likely going to, come in, if they were given some kind of guarantee that the voting system would actually work, you could guarantee Green would win. Because it's the mentality at the minute that people don't want to show their ID. It's like, why? So you can scoop me off in orange overalls and send me to Gitmo. I don't think so.
Well, that's the thing with me. Like, I'm not sure whether I'm going to vote. I'm not sure whether there's anyone worth voting for. And I'm not sure that voting will change anything. And I don't see why I should have to pick the best of a bad bunch of apples. I should actually, have someone worth voting for. And then I get this form through, and it's asking me my national insurance and my date of birth, and it wants to know what time I farted and had breakfast. You know what I mean? And I'm thinking, jog on. I just won't vote. Whereas if it had been easier, I would have registered and kept the option open. But now I'm prepared to say no, sod it.
But you see, for me, I mean, I stand on the side of I think we should all vote in a lot of ways. But when I mean vote, I mean if you want to spoil your ballot, do it.
Yeah, but that's what I always say. I say even if you're not going to vote, I do say go down there and write, just dictate it, because they count it. I've been to counts, you know what I mean? They count every spoiled ballot, and if there's enough of them, the second place person can call a bum vote, you know what I mean? And you can start all the
Still counts.
Yeah, we should put the message out. All activists, just go and spoil your ballot
You
paper.
should spoil it because
That's
you're driving a
illegal,
message.
Or vote green.
You're saying that I can be bothered. I've come down here today. I can be bothered to vote for someone, but you failed to give me anyone worth voting for. Because a lot of people think people can't be bothered to vote, and it's not that people can't be bothered. They can be bothered. There's just no one worth voting for. But some people can't be asked, but in general.
I mean, the point of it is that, in my eyes, if you don't vote, and this is just my personal belief, is that if you don't vote, you automatically give... I just think you automatically give consent to the government saying that I'm happy with the way things are, I don't care, and I want the current government to carry on. Because that is the way they're going to take it. You know, I mean, the laws of saying that if I don't vote, I don't take part and so forth. I get where you're coming from, but realistically, to them that means nothing because they can then turn around and say, look,
but there's also an argument
what the people want, because otherwise they would have come out and voted us out.
But there's also an argument that you're upholding the current system because we're governed by consent. And if we all stop consenting through the ballot box, we'd be saying, look, we ain't consenting in a government anymore.
But that would never happen because the MP is going to vote for himself.
Back to the Queen.
But even if, right...
Even if we only had 12% to turn out for the vote, so that's the people in Parliament, the people that uphold the system and the corporations, because they also have the power to vote. Even if we only had 12% of the people voting, they're still going to uphold the system because they don't care about democracy. For them, it makes no difference. It's better for them if we keep quiet and not vote.
But what do you do when you've got no one worth voting for in your own town?
Well, you still protest and so forth.
Because there's some towns that the Greens can't afford to put a candidate in every town.
Yeah, no, I get that, and I think
they certainly can't afford the promotion of the candidate in every town.
Well, I mean, when you go to the ballot, you can see a list of candidates. That's not. I don't think that's the issue. So even if they're not promoting, there's always an independent standing, because I've always seen independents stand every now and again. They just don't get anywhere, or any promotion from the press. Or you should spoil your ballot. I always think that you should always do something when it comes to the vote.
Yeah, I do think
you should spoil your ballot. Make a point by stating why you're not going to vote on the paper.
I do believe that.
Can you draw your penis next to UKIP?
Yeah. Racist fuck. They're just right next to them. Each reason why you're not voting for them. Racist fuck.
Well, that'd be great. I'd like to
wanker.
Blah 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 blah.
You know, I do agree with that. Because the thing I hate is that people think we don't vote because we can't be bothered. We're lazy.
You see, that's my problem, is that the media then spins that however you want. Because let's say there's 60 people that don't vote. Instead of not voting, spoiled their ballot. The media would then have to say that a huge proportion of Britain spoiled their ballot. Therefore, there is something to report on, as opposed to nowadays, which what they say is that 60% of people don't vote because either can't be bothered or okay with the current government. If you spoil your ballot or you vote for an independent,
does that not bring in?
You like democracy, but you're not happy with the way the government is doing things.
But do you not think that they should have none of the above?
Oh God, yeah, definitely, 100%. I think they should be like Australia, in the sense that they have a none of the above. Not so much the idea of making it illegal not to vote, although maybe that's not just a bad idea, but they have to have a none of the above. I think that's fundamental in democracy.
Not like a party, just a none of the above.
Yeah, like in Australia. In Australia, they have a box.
New candidates.
In most parts of the world, in fact, in most democracies, Australia and New Zealand, best examples, they have a box at the bottom saying none of the above. And if none of the above hits, I think, 50% or 45%, I can't remember the percentage, then they do a recount, a re-election, a complete re-election.
But should that not be on 50%? Should that be on, like, all percent? If 36% say none of the above, 34% say someone else, it's still one, isn't it?
No, but in Australia, they've got something different where a candidate needs to get over 50% of the vote before. They don't have first past the post. They got something slightly different where
we could choose 1, 2, or 3.
Yeah, you number the people you want. So you get, for example, and then they tot it up. I can't know exactly how they do it. But it's a really, really interesting system where the person that gets elected is elected with a majority over the amount of people. So at least 50% of people are either extremely happy, i.e. put number 1, or put all right as number 2. So they are more likely to want that person in there. So it's a much, much fairer system. And then in Britain, for example, you've got MPs that can get elected with 20 or 30% of the vote. It doesn't matter if 70% of their constituents did not vote for this person. If they have a majority over the next candidate, then they're fine. They could have 30%. Like I could be elected at 30% and you could have 29, and then everybody else could have not voted. But the point is, because I've got that 1% majority, I get into parliament. It's not fairness at all. And a lot of the world, apart from obviously America, who has the same system we do, have gone with something more democratic, saying more proportional representation. There's a lot. I think there's a lot of, and this is why I believe that if you talk about education in schools and the way politics should be taught, I've always been pushing for the idea of having politics as an independent subject. But not teaching politics as in, Labour or the Conservatives, but teaching democracy. How to, for example, start a protest if you want to, how to campaign, how to give evidence in public inquiries, how to contact your local council, how to contact your MP, what they do, and more importantly, what other countries do, because our democracy is far from the best. In fact, it's probably one of the worst at the moment. But what do other countries do? Like the idea, an example of Australia, the example of New Zealand, taking Switzerland as another example, taking Iceland as another example of the way they deal with things. Because we in Britain seem to have this belief that, our police is the way it is because of their job. It can't get any better. This is the best it can get. That's bullshit.
At the minute, there's a video circling Facebook at the minute. I'm not sure whether most people have seen it, because I have to admit, being easily distracted, I had to watch it 5 times. It was me and P watched it together. We were like, oh, it was really hard to watch it, and that's just the honest truth. It's hard to watch it.
I didn't watch it.
No,
I watched about 5 minutes, and I was like, I'm not watching
it. And regarding the elections and the big oil fraud on behalf of Cameron and what his voters basically represent, and obviously that they plough a lot of money into him through, before the voting process and the head counts that are received by that. But it is the video itself. I think UK Column have done a bit on it, and it's by someone called I think it's Gordon something, and he's really gone a long way around telling us exactly what kind of is happening, and it's got the potential to really out the government on this video. I'll post it up on my wall later, but it is really hard to get into, especially if you've got really low distraction levels. We were just off posting pony memes halfway through. It did take me 5 attempts to get through it, but it really was. But it is really interesting. It brings in the whole Indian Cairn oil energy deal in India, because obviously we've got one of the people from that are sitting on the House of the Crown Commission from that. 2011, a lot of people were brought in from that deal into the City of London Crown Estate, and a lot of his mates have been given higher up places that really shouldn't have, and it would easily lead a vote. You've got places like Warburtons and stuff like that. You wonder how much influence and how much money they plough into these people, and why we absolutely get nowhere with the campaigns as far as Labour, Green Party and things like that, because they're private donations from these places. They can go to all lengths to gain votes.
No, it's true. That's also the problem of it all, is that money has such a huge influence in politics at the moment. The thing about that's just going back to the idea of power, though. And realistically, if you look at the world, look at history, there are two sort of versions of power. There's either money power, monetary power, which is what the Conservatives are obviously pondering to, the big corporations, big individuals that have shitloads of money. Or on the other hand, there's also people power, which is what Labour should be appealing to, but aren't, because they're going after the same power that the Conservatives are after, which is big donations and big money. But the trouble with people power is that it's so hard to harness. Like if you can harness it, it's amazing, and it will trump money power any day because of the amount that people effectively control the world. It is people that make the world go around, not money. There's this misconception that it's money that makes the world go around, but money is just paper. It's the idea of money that makes it go around in this society. But in the end, people are actually what really matters. But a lot of individuals forget that.
The thing is, those days when people don't realise that that's how corporations are now buying votes. They are buying votes because obviously David Cameron's going to turn around to.
But they've
say,
always
like,
have been. There's always been buying votes.
Give them benefits and stuff. Best Ways Holdings that are on the Tory donations donate to Crime Stoppers, which is BBC. They donate to a lot of charities which run back to like sort of Tory. And then you've also got Circle Holdings, right, which is it runs back and it's got some really big people on it, like people who are also on Ondra and big corporations like that, almost like a Resident Evil umbrella corporation, right? And these Circle Holdings actually runs it. They donate. They're one of the bigger donations to the Tories, inadvertently through different names and stuff, but it links to them quite clearly. They are actually the company that has took over a lot of the care in the NHS system. And so you look at that because they're actually called Circle Healthcare. They're not Circle Healthcare, they're Circle Holdings, but owned by a bunch of high-rise tycoon pricks with a lot of money who want to take over our NHS. And they use different names and different corporations and different oil, energy, and it's fraud, man. It's fraud. Ondra, there's absolutely no description of what they do, and all you see is these faces that are all part of something. Citibank, JP Morgan, Goldsmith, Goldman Sachs, and companies like that. And
But all these investment partnerships, something holdings, this holdings, that holdings, this investment fund, that investment fund, they don't actually do anything. They're almost, the way I describe it as if they're almost like, how nations have developed from city-states, which developed from tribes, which developed from groupings of individuals. I think that's just a more permanent version of corporations. Corporations are evolving. In a sense, before corporations are volatile, you either stayed in business or you didn't. You could be out of business tomorrow if your clients all left. But now they've grown to such an extent that they will never go out of business unless this monetary system collapses. So now they've become so big that they deal with governments directly as if they are governments. They have consistent amounts of consumers and so from a vast variety of different industries. And their CEOs are basically kings. Different names, but they're basically kings. They're the same thing as back in the old days. And they're buying votes like kings used to do back in the day. Nothing's changed.
Leo out.
I think there should be some kind of reasoning that if you're in a corporation and you've got corporate agendas on your list of things to do. Andrew Shilson is on Circle Holdings board of directors. He's also within the Crown Estate and in Parliament, and I don't see how that's right. And Circle Healthcare clearly states that it feels the NHS would benefit from privatisation.
Of course
now,
they do.
Small sections of the NHS for what they are, but these people are in Parliament. They shouldn't be allowed.
But I think the problem is that our politicians are rich people. They are millionaires. They are business people. They are from that walk of life. Their families. That is what they grow up with. That's what they know. They're all about dealings and markets and stuff. What we need to do is say, well, actually, how much do they get paid? 86,000 a year? How much is a politician paid, an MP?
I couldn't tell you. No, it's
About
Quite a bit of
86,000 a
money.
year.
Between everything, probably around 70,000, 60,000.
Yeah, but I think about 70, 80,000. We'll say 70, just right. So if you're on 70,000 and you get your everything brought for you, because they do, they
Mhm.
claim thousands in expenses. They get their rents and mortgages paid. They get their bills paid. They get their food paid. What we should be saying is, actually, if you're a member of parliament, that's your full-time job, and you can't moonlight. You can't work for anybody else. You can't have, sit on boards here, there, and everywhere. And we've got to stop people from, because a lot often you'll get like, say, a chief in the, say, like Food Standard Agency, and then they'll go and work for somewhere like Monsanto and be sort of like ingrained in government policy on something that maybe is not in the best interest of the people, in a corporate interest. So if we just said that MPs could no longer have other interests, I think that their wage is actually a lot more than any of us could ever dream of. They don't need any other income. They're just greedy fat bastards, really.
10-bedroom mansion paid
Yeah.
for via us. Do you know what I mean? It's like crazy.
I mean, what I think personally, people always jump on this bandwagon of hating on career politicians. That we don't need career politicians. We need politicians with business minds that have experience and so forth. Which I think it's all bullcrap, to be honest. I think we need career politicians that come into politics strictly to do politics. That all they want to do is be the voice of the people. That is their interest. That is in their interest. They don't have corporate entities and ties and whatnot.
They should have a tunnel vision towards politics. They should have a tunnel vision towards what their aim and set out to be. They shouldn't be diverted by any other reasoning other than what is the most beneficial thing to achieve the aim of what their position in that job is. Say like the education and health secretary, he needs to constantly, he, whatever, they're all little demons anyway, they need to constantly be there and understanding their job should be to visit schools, to do these things. They haven't got time to go and pay money into flipping Warburtons or anything, go visit the staff of Warburtons and have a nice little cup of tea or whatever. They ain't got the time for that shit. They've got a real job to do. These are our people's lives in their hands. They shouldn't be gallivanting off, and I'm not even going close to the whole George Osborne snorting coke in his free time. Do you know what I mean? Once you get onto that, it's kind of like they've gone past that. They shouldn't even party, neither the way they party. Young children, coke constantly, and we've got them running our country.
But you see, that for me is the fundamental problem, is that people always say, oh, we've got too many career politicians. Who? A career politician is somebody that dedicates his career to politics. Now, I can't name a single politician, apart from maybe a fair few good ones, and there are some fair few good ones, that actually genuinely are career politicians. Because although, for example, Nick Clegg hasn't worked a day in his life, or so that's what they say, his father has, and his business interest is linked to his family's, in the sense that that's where he wants to go. He wants to go into that kind of business. That is their interest. Also, I think another fundamental problem with it all is that parties don't get public funding. I strongly believe that parties should get state funding and shouldn't be allowed to pander for donations, because imagine if we had parties that got funding from the state. Each of them got equal amounts of funding. First of all, the Green Party could actually campaign for a change as opposed to always be broke as hell. And secondly, you haven't got parties always making policies that benefit corporations, because what's the point? A party gets elected, and that's its purpose. At the moment, its purpose is making money by making sure corporations are happy. But if its money comes from the state, it has no interest in making corporations happy. In fact, that will be detrimental to what they want to achieve. So they would actively be attacking corporations, which is what we need.
If they're reaching out to the people, then they can quite capably reach out to the small businesses and even the larger businesses. I'm not saying like, right, we have to cut every business on the head, but small businesses need to thrive to get money back into the between ourselves without this TTIP shit going on. Do you know what I mean? And if they were to reach out to those people, they would still get the businesses. It's nothing, you know, the businesses are needed as to a part of the decision, because obviously corporations are putting the businesses out of business.
What we actually
they're the
need
ones that
is
get the voice.
we need like constitution.
Oh God, yeah.
We need people to be put, you know, a place where they are above corporate entities, that they have more rights than a corporate entity, that a corporate entity is responsible and made accountable if they bring out things that harm the people. You know, that it's not all just whitewashed in the money's favour, really. It's not people's favour.
Human right to be removed from corporations, equality and human rights, because they're not people, they are corporations. They shouldn't be living by the same standards as, you know, every human being is equal and in right deserved of this. No, it's a corporation. It is not deserved of this. It does not deserve anything in its entirety. These are a group of people making things better. Joining.
You right, Kiki?
You cut out there for a second.
Yeah, sorry. I was saying bye to my daughter.
All right.
Yeah, but have you heard about who's standing against Nigel Farage?
Who?
Al Murray.
Really?
The pub landlord. You couldn't get a better opponent.
Brilliant.
Oh, he's hilarious.
Well, yeah, he's standing against him, and I was wondering how funny it'd be if he didn't get his seat, if Nigel Farage didn't get his seat.
So Al Murray is actually an independent candidate.
Yeah. I can't remember the name for it, but it's basically looks like fuck up because it's FKUP.
That's his party.
Yeah.
Go Al Murray. I've always loved him as a comedian. I think he's hilarious.
But he's really, you know, he is like Farage tries to portray that image, doesn't he, a lot? Beer drinking, you know, likeable chappy, having a fag, you know, hey, look at me.
That's exactly what Al Murray is.
Mm.
He's the British people, the embodiment of the British people in one example.
So I think that's going to be a hilarious one to watch because, you know, people do like to take the piss. People did vote for the raving lunatics.
Raving loony. Oh God, yeah.
You know. But whatever you think of them, at least they made a stand.
But I mean, comedians are always quite politically active. If you see comedians often, I mean, they just have a talent to take the piss out of stuff. They've still got opinions and a voice to be heard. But when they do, because it's so hard to go against someone that's funny, comedians often always have an edge. Because they have this ability to take the piss out of something, and ability to take criticism in a way that most people wouldn't be able to, because that's their job.
And he has the ability, without funding, to get headlines.
Yeah, because he's got a career.
Yeah. So, you know, I'm sure that the papers will equally cover his stunts as well as Farage's.
He's formed the Free United Kingdom Party.
Yeah.
It seems to me that the UK is ready for a bloke waving a pint around, offering common sense solutions.
Brilliant, isn't
it? Oh my God.
For what he is.
It'd be funny if other people join his party and start standing across the country.
His pledge, his first pledge, was he's going to make all pints 1 pence.
It's good though, because it will oust UKIP a little bit.
Yeah, no, it will.
What they are.
I mean, could you imagine if Nigel loses his space and doesn't get into Parliament.
That'd be hilarious.
I think that'd be a blessing. That will cut the head of the snake because UKIP is basically Nigel Farage.
We still love that meme though, don't we, Kiki?
Oh,
First it was like,
too.
whoa! And then he was like, Have you seen
His party slogan, apparently, other parties offer the moon on a stick. We'll do better than that. A British moon on a British stick.
Yeah, the British one.
Yeah. A British moon.
Have you seen that meme, Matteo?
You are?
The UKIP. Have you seen the UKIP meme?
No. What is it?
My favourite memes on Facebook are actually the UKIP ones. The first one is the one with Nigel Farage with his hands down his pants and loads of like Nazi tattoos on him. And the second one, right, you know, he's got that loony look, that laugh.
First he was like, hey!
It's got him going. At first I was like, hey, and then the second one's in when he was in the plane crash, and then he was like, and then I was like, oh, fucking brilliant.
It just looks like the Walking fucking Dead. We shouldn't laugh, right? Because that was a horrific thing to go through, but that picture just catches the moment.
The meme is brilliant. It's just like the toothpaste, and it's one of him, like the Muppets, to the side. Fantastic, just looks exactly like him. P found a train today that looks like David Cameron.
Thomas Tank Engine train. It's like Gordon or someone.
I don't know, but he looks just like
It just looks just like David Cameron. I put it on a post, and I said, "What twat does this look like?" And everyone thought it was David Cameron.
We memed David Cameron today. We totally destroyed some pony memes today. They were like really bad. We've gone 500 posts on ponies. We've really bronied it up. And we decided to tweet David Cameron that there was pony porn going on, and it was wrong. So we need to ban free speech to help the pony porn. And we were just like literally have just ponied all over him today.
But we had this idea. He wants to see everything we say, so we'll send him everything every stupid thing we say on the internet. Yeah. We'll tweet it to David Cameron as well. Then he won't need to hire anyone else. We'll save the country a fortune.
I'm sure he didn't even know that there was photos and tweets of My Little Pony porn going around. It is rather disturbing. I do feel he needs to know this, along with whatever subject, the koala chlamydia, whatever. We will deal with that as well. We will send him it all.
We'll start a little campaign saying, rather than wasting all this money trying to snoop through our pointless emails, why don't we just give it to you?
Yeah, and if you're sending an email, just carbon copy it. You can get his email address off his website on his site, on his constituent site. Just carbon copy him it. That'll save the government a fortune.
You know all the spam emails that you get? If you ever had a Google, Yahoo, Hotmail account, you'll know what I mean. All the random spam emails, you get about 1,200 per day in the spam folder. Couldn't you technically just automatically send that on?
Just go to car insurance sites and say, I want to quote.
Yeah. I would say there's a ban on David Cameron now.
No, I wouldn't do that.
No,
what happened with Tesco's?
I wouldn't either.
It's probably...
I mean, seriously though, I mean, why the hell would you need to have all that information about somebody?
Well, we're going to freely...
I mean, Theresa May's constant aim to try and explore everything that is fundamentally right.
Yeah. Well, we're going to make sure that he doesn't have to go through such efforts like causing terrorist false flags and stuff like this to gain our free speech. So we are going to hand it to him on a plate. Care Bears, ponies, koalas, you name it. We will make sure he gets that shit every day.
I mean, it is worrying, the lengths that they will go to just to shut us up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just sweet Charlie.
Sweetie what?
I love that
shit. What are you going on about, Kiki?
Just sweet Charlie.
Oh, Je suis
yeah.
Charlie, yeah.
Well, the thing that I find hilarious about that is that a Muslim comedian has been arrested, French, for tweeting at something.
He was
You know,
what?
freedom. There was a Muslim comedian, French comedian, and he tweeted something flippant about it. I can't remember what. And he's been arrested for it. So we're going on about free speech, but we're not really defending free speech, are we? We're a set few free speech, and then I see, and I don't want, you know, I'm not anti-Jewish when I say this. You know, I'm just, yeah, you know, I take each person as they come. You know what I mean? There is some nice Jewish people. There's probably not nice Jewish people. We know there's not.
With any grouping in society.
Yeah, I take each person on their own. But I see a car that looked just like a Metropolitan police car, which was a Jewish police car for a Jewish area in London. And actually, I've seen quite a few private police forces. There was one opened up doing it £1 a round. You know, each neighbour pays £1. Now, also, I see a letter from probably some extreme Jewish person, I can't remember his name, to the European leaders asking for certain Jewish officials to be armed.
Armed.
Armed. Now,
The problem with that, of course, is that you're always going to get extremist idiots taking advantage of a situation like this.
If that was Muslim and they had a police car in London, there would be such a stink kicked out. Oh, even worse, Birmingham, because they're obviously full of Muslims. It's run by Muslims. You can't even get in Birmingham now because the amount of
I had to put a tweet out the other
Addy,
day.
Muslim everywhere. It's controlled. English aren't allowed in there anymore.
Yeah, I wanted to go to the Birmingham Rag Market last week. I had to tweet to try and find a Muslim that could either smuggle me in or do the shopping for me via Google Hangouts.
Why can't you go in?
This is Muslim-only area. Have you not been watching Fox Facts, Fox News? Birmingham's no-go area for whites now. You know, it's Muslim area. And then Farage goes on a couple of days later and was like, yes, actually, in England there are places where white people can't go. We've got Muslim ghettos.
Yeah, Birmingham has been declared by Fox News as an entirely Muslim city.
Where white people can't go.
So we are
Is it the same Birmingham that I'm thinking about?
We are trying to find ourselves some way to smuggle ourselves into this city that we've never been into before because we're not allowed.
I used to roller boot around Birmingham.
Did you? Were you allowed?
Yeah. I put my hat down like that.
My God, the crap they come out with is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Well, actually, they said something else about London, and they apologised about Birmingham, but they never apologised about London.
They should apologise about London. I'm feeling quite insulted.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
But I mean, you know, it's really not that shocking. I mean, Fox News comes out with crap every day. I mean, what the shocking thing is. What the shocking
got me a cup.
Saw that. But the shocking thing about it is, how have they not said that Fox News must stop itself from calling itself a news site, but refer to itself as fiction?
I don't know, but that judge is vile, isn't she? I don't even know her name, but I just see her face and I think, God, you just hate. It's like a brunette Joan Rivers.
You just got to send her pony memes. As soon as you see her face, it's like, oh, that's a pony meme right there.
But you see, I mean, a lot of these things is all about that. And I mean, the Je suis Charlie thing, I mean, yes, it was a terrible situation where a lot of journalists got killed for their free speech, and people should have free speech should always go ahead of you know, people's beliefs, and the idea that you can't criticize somebody's belief and whatnot. I mean, that is ridiculous. But what I find shocking is that didn't what's his name? The guy that owns Britain. Rupert Murdoch, that's the
Yeah.
one. Didn't he insult or say something incredibly, not racist? It was anti-Muslim, saying that they should all be carted off for something ridiculous like that. Shouldn't we technically arrest him, considering that he's promoting hate speech?
But that's the thing. It seems to be all right in some certain forms. It would be great if we lived in a diverse society where nobody criticised anybody for being different, but in a way, it's kind of encouraged by the state, isn't it?
I mean, journalists
let's support
are journalists.
person.
What they wrote was actually, I mean, I do think people do need to be open to criticism. You do need to be open about debate, because in the end, all debate's criticism. You're criticizing somebody's idea for your own, and that's how you make, I think, good decisions, because you debate something, somebody else debates something else, and then you come to a decision bearing in mind what everybody said in that discussion. The problem is when people aren't open to debate, but just yell at somebody else saying, oh, you can't say anything right because you're a different skin tone than me, or you can't say anything right because you're a different religion than me. I mean, that is ignorant yelling. That's not debating or criticism. That's just stupidity.
Yeah, without a doubt.
And then when these people have an amplified voice, like Rupert Murdoch or anybody else, then it starts to become dangerous. Because these people have influence. And these people should not have influence, but they do. They have shitloads of influence.
Well, there's supposed to be that stupid virus, isn't there? And I think it's quite prolific at the moment.
The which one?
The stupid virus. It makes you an idiot.
Oh, yeah.
They said they discovered it in America.
What, in Fox News' newsroom?
No, it's seriously. I'm not fucking with you. They found something, a virus that was making people slightly dimmer. And I was
Fox
thinking,
News, right? Otherwise known as Fox News.
Yeah, but I was thinking that they've obviously, it's widespread, because people don't think a lot about that. They're so easily manipulated into hating someone because of their
So if you've got a testy cough and you still believe 9/11 was by terrorists, then you've got the stupid virus. I like that. You could apply that to UKIP's title, didn't you? You could say,
oh yeah, you could.
And
UKIP
just
is
describe you stupid.
Symptoms of the stupid virus.
Yeah.
Voting.
Sudden urge to watch Fox News. Sudden urge to vote UKIP. Racist tendency.
Everything BBC
Need to eat your breakfast over page 3.
Yum yum. Topless
Need
model.
to value paper over your own family.
Yeah.
I think we need a dose of pills for this stupid virus that's going around. I think it is an epidemic. Definitely.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to say stupid, but like kids, they're not as bright as they were they?
Oh no, that isn't derogative.
No, I mean like
being a person from this generation.
No, I don't mean like that. I mean like if you compare. I don't mean my generation. I mean seriously going back in time.
Yeah.
You know, like you had people in children in Victorian times. Obviously, a lot of them didn't get education, so we're widespread. But some of them would be doing maths and things because they would actually be out there in the world, and they would be capable of a lot greater mental arithmetics and things like that.
They didn't do their exams
now at that age.
I mean, the one thing I would say is you can take that into account. If you look at newspapers nowadays, for example, they've got more images than anything else. It's plastered with images, fancy colours, big bold.
I think that's just for Britain First. That's just for Britain First.
No, but if you look at newspapers a couple of generations back, you see they're like academic papers. They talk in such a flowery British language that you only see in academic papers now.
Yeah.
And if you look at books and so forth, what you used to learn in A-levels, I mean, GCSEs then went on to O-levels, which is now called A-levels, and now that's university level stuff. And what you used to learn in primary school, you're now learning in high school. And what you used to learn in high school, you're now learning GCSEs, blah, 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 etc. So I would say that the educational system is getting dumbed down, but that is because each government, in my belief, it's because each government wants to prove that their education system is better. And it's easier to help more people get A's than it is actually making the population smarter. So what they did is they made it easier for students to get A's so that they can claim, when they come into government, they can claim, look, we're working because look how many of our students are getting A's.
But let's face it, they don't really want you to have, like when you work, they don't want you to be like intelligent. They just want you to be able to do the job. They don't necessarily want you to be able to work out things better than them and know, you know, maybe when they're up to no good and shit. They'd rather a bit just be able to get on with your job to a certain level, I think.
No, you're right, but I think the reason why the education system is dumbed down, not so much because of that, but I think it's because they wanted to keep proving, each government wanted to prove that their education system was better, and it was almost like a way of cutting corners of doing that. Because if you look back, a C was supposed to be the average, which means the majority of British people were supposed to get a C, and that is basic levels of understanding. You know, as average intelligence is what they used to refer it to. And then B was slightly higher, so you're slightly more intelligent, potentially bearing that in mind. And then A was supposed to be for people that are quite special. Nowadays, A's are the norm. And then A stars are the people that are slightly higher up. So they had to invent a new grade because they pushed the system so low that you didn't have to even attend school to get B's and A's now.
And you can appeal it, can't you? And I didn't realise that because I'd have advised my daughter to do it. If you take your exam, you can get it remarked, and they can't mark it down. They can only mark it higher.
Yeah.
I think I'll sod it. I'll send it off. See, nothing to lose.
I think everyone should do that anyway. Second opinions aren't bad in the world that we live in.
I mean, I only learned that when I was doing GCSEs. And I ended up getting a B+ in French. Now, I would never in a million years claim that I can speak French. I can't. There's no justification why I passed that exam. I should not have passed that exam. I didn't. It's not even on
I got a B in French, right?
In France.
I'm really minimal. Minimal. Yeah, exactly. There you go. I'm really minimal to the point where it's like bonjour, bonsoir. That's about it. And it's like a B. Nah.
I was thinking, I wrote and spoke Italian for most of my exam, for written and whenever I forgot the word, I just wrote it in Italian because I thought, well, it's half right. They're both languages. They're sort of right, and I still passed. It just shows how desperate they are to get people up there, because there is no reason why I should not have passed that exam. I should not have passed that exam.
I was kicked out of school at 14, so I went to college instead. So I got to do some better courses. I did some GCSEs, like the compulsory ones at the time. But then I did like fashion studies and
all right,
performing arts and painting and decorating. Because I wasn't Sky Child.
You had to wear orange overalls too.
I could pick a direction, so I thought I'll try all of them. Childcare was another one.
Why not?
Why not? Get a head start. But all my friends were still at school, and at college, I just found that it was so much for me. Because if you don't do anything at college, it falls on your shoulders. You haven't got somebody running around after you all the time going, do this, do that, do that. If you don't do it, they don't care. You're the one messing up your future, sort of thing. Whereas at school, they kind of a lot more treat you like kids, don't they? I know you're not an adult at like 14 and that, but you're getting there, aren't you? You're incapable of making decisions about yourself. And I think that a lot of these older schools, especially now, they've got to be at school till they're 18. My son's got to be at school till he's 18. They could just do with. I told him not to go to sixth form. They could just do with something
My kids barely go to school anyway. I can't even imagine them lasting till they're 18. It's like my son doesn't go to school at all. He hasn't been to school for 2 years. My eldest daughter's something like 73% attendance, and my youngest daughter, she's still enjoying school, so she's like 100% at the minute. That shit will change in a couple of years. You watch it. I ain't forced my kids to do nothing like that. If they want to stay at home and be educated at home, I'll educate them at home. I won't force them into the situation. I do like them to do primary school because I like the social aspect and them learning friends. And then I just literally it's like driving lessons. I have to like eke out all the bad habits that school's injected into my children at the age of 11. Do you know what I mean? It's like, no, don't do that. No, stop being racist. It's like you get that from school, you know, all that shit. It's not right.
That is the worst bit about your kids going to schools, all the habits they pick up from other people.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, guys, I've got to head off, but I'll speak to you guys next week.
All right, then.
Take care. Bye.
Right, bye. Speak to you next week. Right, so should we talk about reclaim the summer holidays?
Might as well. We might as well. What is that?
It's a thing, isn't it?
It's a thing. It's a thing. It's going to be great, you know. Do you want to say it or shall I?
You can. Just go.
Yeah. In the 6 weeks holiday, both of ours, I don't know if everyone else is the same, but the 6 weeks holidays, ours starts on the 17th of July. And from the 17th of July onwards, for 6 weeks, we are planning on, with a whole bunch of other people who wish to come, children, no party animals, don't scare the children, planning to go on a Occupy in a holiday resort in the UK that we will be occupying, maybe a derelict-ish kind of area, holiday camp that's unused, or you know, some area like that, and we're going to occupy it for 6 weeks, and we're calling it Reclaim the Summer Holidays, and anyone's welcome to come. We will be like doing like the facilities and things. We'll be doing workshops, days where we can do like sports days, survival days, festival day, anything that we to fill the days and stuff like that is going to be great. And hopefully there'll be plenty of kids able to enjoy holiday that they can't because of the laws and fines outside of term time and the prices that have been, you know, hitting dramatic levels of holiday in the UK.
I mean, we are trying to work with other groups and that to get various things set up and to help with any evictions and such. But pretty much on the whole, we're not saying everyone has to stay and do a workshop, are we? We're saying that if you want to, it's there. If you want to go off, do your own thing, it's there. Just, you know, if you can have contact with somebody at the base, because if we get an eviction, we might have to call loads of people back to help fend it off.
Yeah, and then we've also got like the love activists. They're going to be supporting us with this, aren't they? They've said that they'll support us the whole way and help us with the legal ramifications. Because at the end of the day, this is what all children and adults deserve, a holiday. From especially with what the government puts them through, and most people, especially in the teaching profession, that's the only time they get a holiday off, when parents it's the only time, but it's too expensive. I was looking the other day, you're looking at a few hundred, quite a lot to. Do
you want to go to Cornwall in the 6 weeks holiday camping? You're looking at 800 to £1,000 for my size family, which is 6. You know, it's just, you could go abroad for that. You know, you could have a nice holiday abroad for that. Yeah. And I know there are cheaper places in England to go, but even just the basic camping holiday is costing a fortune. And if you then have to buy equipment or, you know, going out as well in the day, it all costs. If we could manage to have somewhere that people just had to pay the travelling costs to, and, you know, their food and that, we'll try and have a camp kitchen, won't we?
Yeah, that we will try and do our best to make sure that everything is sorted out, I can't see why if we all plug together on this and make sure, we will most likely be putting up a wish list as well of things that hopefully will come in handy during the camp, because obviously if we do get evicted, which it will take them a little while to get us evicted, if we do, we will have areas set up to relocate to at any time, and those same provisions will be catered for in each one, hopefully, and then that way nobody is left, without moving is not going to be a problem. Moving is not going to be a problem, but we, at the same time, people are going to need to bring the same camping stuff they would bring if they were staying in the camp, just in case we do have that 1 or 2 nights of exchange where we're going to need to clear up camp to the next one. It's still going to, that's why we call it
if
camping.
you go on a camping holiday, you pretty much have a self-contained unit, don't you? Bring a little camp stove, bring a little, some tins of beans and things like that. I'll see you over if you need it. If we've got a camp kitchen, you're happy to join it. Most places have shops. You need to go and get some. Maybe we'll find a local farm somewhere that's doing some grow your own stuff. But of all the events we've done, this has been the one that we've had the best feedback on, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. And to be honest, I have to admit, I was twitching like the whole evening, like, the things, because I think as well we've got 2 members on Wave that are full survivalists. They really do. When you look at them, both the lads, they are really into their survival prepping, their survival tips, foraging, and things like that. And they are just so excited about this. And it will give opportunity for people to do trails and foraging and things like that if they choose to. You might choose to go with your family off to a day in the beach. That's, you might choose to go off for a couple of days down somewhere else. But it's that the whole thing that we will actually still be able to try and provide some form of, entertainment. No different from a holiday camp where they would provide the entertainment. It doesn't mean that you are obliged to go.
And we are lucky in the fact that a lot of activists have guitars or something that they can play. So hopefully lots of people will bring music, we'll sit around and have campouts, have a bit of chat, learn a bit of maybe we could have some legal observer training or something like that. There's quite a few activist groups that do training programs if we can convince them to come out to the camp.
Yeah.
And a little
There's
bit
going to be a lot that we
see and just plotting away from the internet.
It'll be lovely, very like-minded, and the thing is, not everyone has to have kids. Do you know what I mean? It's just, it will be nice to have more children as well, so that the kids get that holiday feel where they're with other children on a campsite and they get to mingle. But at the same time, you've got single people. We've got Wendy coming down from my end. She's going to be coming. She's on her own. We're going to have quite a few people who are coming on their own without children and that, but more the merrier, no matter what. It's, obviously because children are on camp, I'm thinking illegal raves, you can take it a little bit further away or something, but I ain't against illegal rave. It's just one of those things, isn't it? And we try and keep that balance of, this isn't, it's still an op. It's still something that we are going to have to make sure that we maintain the fact that we're occupying it, we're doing this, so we're all going to have to, pitch in with that. And like you said, safe places to make sure that if things do get funny, which I really don't think they will, even the mainstream may hit on this.
And then this is the way we, it is a protest against term time fines and high-priced family holidays, which is, because like the difference between the week before the summer holidays and the week after the summer holidays is phenomenal. They hike the prices up ridiculously.
That's really wrong, because prices
do
not go
protesting.
up with the summer holidays. They don't. The price of bread doesn't go up, the price of tea bags doesn't go up, and the price of filling the swimming pool doesn't go up. There is no reason whatsoever why, and there's definitely no reason that the only people that should go are the ones that can afford it. There's no way that should be the way that it is.
Well, I heard that on telly, that a holiday is a luxury. If poor people can't afford to go on holiday, then they can't afford to go on holiday. Now, to me, a holiday for a child is not a luxury. It's important family bonding time, and it's important time to get away from school and to get back to nature and do a bit of rock pooling or whatever your family does on your holidays. But spend that quality time together and to get them to see a bit more of the world, a bit more past their own town. The world is a bigger place. And I think a childhood without family holidays is a tragedy.
Oh.
Pardon?
It's part of the education as well, you travel in geography and locality and location, all these things are part and parcel of getting to know how big the world is and what is where. You can't expect a child to stay in their own city, and it's different to just going and visiting your nan. The kids need to explore nature, and different places are different, naturally growing and stuff. We shouldn't make them sit at home because they're poor. Poverty should never be a reason why you can't travel and explore, and you can't just get away. And most of the time, we know as British, we struggle with trying to maintain a holiday balance. We make work for ourselves. We can't even go away on holiday and not make work for ourselves. It's just the British mentality. We do that. We go away and then we go, oh, all that I've got to do today. So you didn't really have to do it, did you? You're doing it just because you can. And so it's never ever a real proper holiday, but every child deserves the experience. Every single
It's all the things you see. I mean, I remember I went to like Wales with the school, and we went down a mine, and we said, I'd never seen a mine before. We saw the slate and stuff like that, and going to like Bodmin, you got like the moors and the jail, and you've got like Cheddar Gorge, which is, I mean, I think somewhere you've got like a trampoline in a cave now. That looks well cool. But I mean,
when you look at it when you're younger as well, it's the whole experience is what we should base the holiday around. Because when you think about it, you leave on this trip and it's like a full scale fucking war in the car. It is full on war. Siblings, parents, war, all the way. And then you've got
travel sickness.
Mine was Duran Duran and Dire Straits my dad would have on, right? And you'd listen to these Duran Duran and Dire Straits, and it always reminded me. And then we'd always get a bollocking every time we got there, because we'd be bugging to go swimming or bugging to go to the beach or bugging to do something because we just couldn't wait, and they were just fucking knackered from the war that's just happened in the car. That is all part of experience. I Spy, all of it is all part of the holiday experience that all kids should be allowed to have and take part in. All kids. It's something we've always done.
I don't think it's luxury. I think it, I personally get a lot from going to the sea. I love the sea. Like spiritually, I could sit out on the beach for ages. Well, I can't sunbathe. I get a bit bored of sunbathe, but if I'm meditating or something. But
see, I'm not a beach person. I do like the old coves and little tucked away beaches and things like that. They're nice. I like to be able to get away from the whole Tango Orange place. It's like, what are you doing to your skin? It's going to be like leather. It's just like, sunbathing for an activist is like knowing exactly sun's good for us. Yeah, we love that vitamin D, but we know that it's not the sun giving us cancer. It's probably more like the amount of time sitting in the sun and burning from it.
Yeah.
And we're good at that as well.
Going above you.
Yeah.
Breathing it in. But I think it's great for kids to get away, and just that spending time in nature. And especially, some kids live in quite it's quite rural here, but some kids live in quite built-up areas.
Don't have the experience of being outside at all.
No. I'd have hated a childhood without a single holiday.
It's horrible. That's horrible.
You've got to bury your kids. You've got to have a photo of your kids buried in the sun. No, it seems quite dangerous now.
Fucking holes. They're
Just add Kiki back. Right, I'm going to go